This is turned off. This meeting is called to order. Would you deliver an invocation, please?
Let us pray. Almighty God, we come before you again this day. We ask you to send your Spirit to be with all who sit at this council this night. Guide them, strengthen them in their decisions, that what they decide may benefit not only this local community, but indeed the community at large. Almighty God, we thank you for all those who serve in public office, the EMS, the fire, the police, the streets, the utilities, all those who serve this community. Bless them and strengthen them too, that they may do their duty and be provided with the tools. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. It's a town council public meeting for June 5th, 2018. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, a moment of silence. Flag is there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
I think the flag belongs there anyway.
No, it doesn't.
I think it belongs in the east.
Always in the east.
Always over there.
Okay, then over there. I think it's weird turning our backs to the audience to look at the flag. It should be over there,
It's supposed to be behind us.
so we can change it.
That's the guidelines to the government.
Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Here,
John Foreman,
present.
Julie Rivera, here, Ralph Miller,
Present.
Richard Sharp,
Here.
Greg Parker,
Here.
Randall Niemeyer,
Present.
Jill Murr, here, David Austin.
Present.
We have a quorum. We'll start with public comment on agenda items. If you have public comment, come forward, state your name and address for the record. Is there public comment? Any public comment on agenda items?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted to clarify that.
The public comment at the end will be open, talk about whatever is on your mind. All right? Very good, thank you. No public comment. Public comment is closed. We have our consent agenda, which is the minutes of the May 15th, 2018 public meeting. Claims, all town funds, $214,794.98. Wastewater operating, $71,926.96. Sewer sinking, $410,816.25. 2018 sewage escrow, $2,836,411.07. Water utility, $22,103.04. Water bond 2010B, $11,441.25. Stormwater, $540,448.51. 2017 RDA A and B construction, $408,287.54. Payroll for May 17th and May 31st, 2018 of $318,323.97. The May journal entries, which is May 1st through 31st, 2018. Donations, Police Week, Fraternal Order of Eagles, $200. VIPS, Kubal's Holiday, $100. Hanover Band Boosters, $250. And Tag Day, $1,176.66. Non-functional equipment for disposal. Cedar Lake Youth Baseball fireworks permit and fee waiver. And the Cedar Lake Florist donation acceptance. Is there a motion to accept and waive the reading of the minutes and accept the consent agenda as listed?
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Rivera.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilmember Miller. Questions or discussion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan,
I'm voting no, not, the only reason is because of the 4 claims in there by the Veritas Group.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
yes,
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Greg Parker,
Yes.
Randall Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-1. Ordinances and resolutions. Item 1, ordinance 1294, tow release fee amendment. Mr. Parker bites title only. Explanation to Chief Colson and Attorney Austin.
Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana. Ordinance number 1294, an ordinance amending Town Code Section 70.43 pertaining to a fee for the release of a towed vehicle or towed vehicles held for and impounded by the police department in the town of Cedar Lake, repealing all town code sections and ordinances or parts thereof in conflict herewith and all matters related thereto.
Who wants it?
I got it, Mr. President. This is an update of the vehicle tow release fee to bring the fees in line with current costs and conditions of administering that. I was just looking here for the last time we did this, and it was when it was ordinance 1027 in 2008. So 10 years ago, last looked at this.
How was it discovered that there was deficiency?
Your chief and team and
Okay.
Jill were working on fee assessments, and that's why you have 3 items on your agenda tonight.
And where does it take it from and take it to?
It was at 20, it was doubled to 40.
Very good. You've heard the first reading of ordinance 1294. Is there a motion to approve the first reading?
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Sharp,
I'll second,
seconded by Councilmember Rivera. Are there questions or discussion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
yes,
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Greg Parker,
No.
Randall Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-1. There'll be a second reading at the next council meeting. Next item, ordinance number 1295 is fingerprint service fee amendment. Mr. Parker bites title only, please. Explanation, again, Attorney Austin, Chief Colson.
Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, ordinance number 1295, an ordinance amending Town Code Section 7042 pertaining to miscellaneous police department fees, including the fee for fingerprint services provided by the town Metropolitan Police Department, repealing all Town Code sections and ordinance and parts thereof in conflict herewith and all matters related thereto.
Mr. Austin?
This increases the fee from $5 to $7 and was part and parcel of the evaluation just mentioned.
Okay. Chief Colson, any other comments?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. You've heard the first reading of ordinance 1295, fingerprint service fee amendment. Is there a motion to approve the first reading?
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Miller,
I'll second,
seconded by Councilmember Rivera. Questions or discussion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
yes,
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Greg Parker,
No.
Randall Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-1. There'll be a second reading at the next council meeting. Item 3 is ordinance 1296, which is police/case report fee amendment. Mr. Parker bites title only, please. Mr. Austin, explanation.
Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, ordinance number 1296, an ordinance amending Town Code Section 70.40 pertaining to miscellaneous police department fees, including fees for case police reports provided by the police department in the town of Cedar Lake, repealing all Town Code sections and ordinance and parts thereof in conflict herewith and all matters related thereto.
Thank you. Mr. Austin?
This updates a 2003 ordinance of this town council to increase the aforementioned fee. This is $5 still for incident report or case report, but the disc component of it is $10. We didn't have disc costs.
Wouldn't it be a thumb drive now?
Well, it refers to it as disc because that's what the statute talks about. So it's consistent with that, but you're right. I think that's. how it
Electronic
is.
So it's an electronic copy, basically?
That's
Okay.
exactly right.
So that goes from $5 to $10?
It goes from nothing to 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it didn't exist before.
And what about the regular fee of,
That was $5 then in 2003, and it's still $5.
okay. So you can get a hard copy for still $5.
You can.
Gotcha. Thank you. You've heard the first reading of ordinance 1296 and an explanation. Is there a motion to approve the first reading?
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Rivera. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Miller. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
No.
Randall Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-1. We'll have a second reading of ordinance 1296 at the next meeting. Item 4 is ordinance 1297, truck route. Mr. Parker, by its title only, please. Town Administrator, explanation.
Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, ordinance number 1297. An ordinance establishing a truck route and prescribing penalties for violation hereof, repealing all ordinance and town code provisions and portions thereof in conflict herewith and all matters related thereto.
Council, at your direction, working with other staff members, we have prepared for you a truck route ordinance. Mainly, this is to protect our current infrastructure and the roads we have. This defines what a truck is, where the route is, prohibits travel by trucks over 26,000 pounds,
GVWR.
gross vehicle weight over 26,000 pounds, not including emergency vehicles such as fire trucks. You would have to have proof of route. If you are delivering an item off of the main truck route, which is established by 133rd from the east going around Morse, Lakeshore Drive, north and south on Klein, continuing around Lakeshore Drive into 133rd on the west to US 41. Coming off of there onto Parish, onto Morse, etc., you would have to be delivering an item within that area, and that would need to be the most direct route. John and Randy, I know both of you were very involved with us as we developed this. It was, do we do weight limits? Do we do a truck route? And truck route was, seemed to be the most.
Well, yeah, we're using taxpayer dollars,
So one
dumping a lot of money into the roads.
one of the difficult areas I've seen in this that I have a little concern over is proof of route. So I can call up Niemeyer's Landscaping in Crown Point and say, I need a load of sand delivered. And it's done by a phone call. There's no shipping bill of lading that's developed. There's a bill given to me at the end, but I'm not developing a shipping bill of lading.
The truck driver driving that should be the one that has that on them.
Address?
Not
The
all.
address of where they're delivering your product.
So that's sufficient to just have a handwritten address of where you're delivering a product?
They probably would have something from the company they're delivering.
If I have an account with them, I'll just get billed.
Right, but
they
the
won't have
driver
anything.
still needs to be able to get to you, and usually you would sign for a delivery.
Not if I called over the phone or emailed.
If an officer pulls them over, they could probably call their supervisor and get a document that indicates they are delivering to your house.
That was the only area in this thing that I saw as a potential problem is proof of route, because there's still a lot of business done on relationships, personal business, where someone orders something at their home that's going to be delivered by a truck that's over 26,000 GVWR, and there is no proof of route. There's a bill that's exchanged at some point between the buyer and the seller, but there's not a bill of lading generated from the buyer to the seller or a purchase order. So some of that stuff just doesn't exist. And that's kind of hard to, it's one of those things that we're going to have to be really careful with to make sure that we're not necessarily disrupting people putting mulch around their house or something like that.
But I think if an officer pulled him over and he said he was going right here in Utopia, and he follows him over there to unload his truck, you know what I mean? It's not like, I don't think they're gonna be. It's
Well-
like we talked about in the past, it's trucks deadline and beelining through town with heavy loads that
We can think that, Tim, but sometimes if you leave discretion in the hands of average people, that can be misconstrued. And we can end up with situations where an officer is put into a precarious situation where he's enforcing the letter of the law, and then everybody's upset that there wasn't discretion used. So that was the only area that in reading this that I had some concern, was that doing personal business could be hindered because as a buyer, I may have to generate a purchase order and fax it to whoever I'm buying it from first, or email it to them in order for them to legally travel in town of Cedar Lake.
Most of the time, you use the analogy of Niemeyer's, not me. I use them all the time. And they come, they may bring the triaxle or the dump, right? They bring the dump truck, pull in the yard, dump them all.
Yep.
Typically, they have me sign. So they have usually some paperwork. But I could see a recurring vendor-customer relationship.
Absolutely.
Like you're talking about, but I think that would be more business to business versus residential to business. Now, I might be wrong, but I mean, we're going to have an email for proof. We're going to have some electronic form of
Maybe not.
I ordered this.
Maybe
And
not.
if not, I mean, what are the odds of those cases? You know,
I think they're more prevalent than what you think. There's a lot of business done. Hey, I know John who owns a dump truck. I need a load of sand. I'm going to call him up.
Sure.
And he goes and gets a load of sand, and then a month later sends you a bill.
Okay.
That stuff happens all the time.
I've done that too.
Yeah.
With stone.
Other towns do it all the time. I mean, the officer pulls the driver over, where you going? Delivering a little sand here, okay. They might pull in there and watch them dump.
And that would be ideal. And all I'm trying, and I'm not saying that won't happen here, but we've had instances here in this town when we're enforcing codes and ordinances and laws where human interaction becomes, I'm going by the book, period. It has happened here, and it continues to happen here. So those are things that I think we've got to be aware of, that while in other towns it might work really well, and I know that our public safety and our public works and our leadership team is working hard to make sure that our people are addressing our citizens different when it comes to these enforcement measures, but we're still not quite there. And I want to make sure that just average folks doing business aren't hindered because they don't have a piece of paper.
Do you have an idea of how to modify the wording?
And if I may,
Go ahead.
in the definition, number 2, proof of route, it does allow for or any other document which identifies and specifies the date, address, and name of person requesting or directing the pickup or delivery and the destination of the pickup or delivery. That could be as simple as opening up your phone and showing an email or a text. I don't know. It is pretty broad.
Logbook, delivery slip, shipping order,
I
bill,
guess,
or any other document which identifies specifics, the date, address, and name of the person requesting. I think it's going to cover 99% of the cases, is my guess.
but I want to have this conversation to make sure that our police chief, our public safety people hear this conversation.
Right.
And direct staff accordingly to make sure that we're addressing all instances of personal interaction in a certain manner. Because like I said, there's been, and we get the calls on that stuff, you guys don't, where it can get pretty bad pretty fast. Now, there's two sides to every story, but, and there's always two sides, and hearing both sides, they kind of balance each other out. But it's important that, to me, in this truck routing thing, that we protect our infrastructure, but we also still protect the ability of private property owners to do business.
No, without a doubt.
Tim, what, do you have any idea what the weight of those dump trucks are going on Fairbanks to the High Grove project?
Those trucks are weighing 66,000 plus.
And right now, just letting you know, they're tearing Fairbanks up something fierce.
Yeah.
And you guys thankfully have gone out there and chip sealed it, but you'll probably have to do it again. And so Jill, we're probably going to look at that.
With every construction project, the houses are separate.
I just had one more question. So let's assume that the ordinance passes, do we have signs already ordered, Jill or Tim, or would we have to then order them?
We have a couple examples of signs.
Because we're not doing this to penalize trucks. We're doing it to protect our roads.
Right.
There's a big difference. So I feel like our police officers are also going to take that into consideration. We know the folks that are coming from Route 2 straight up Parish to go to the St. John subdivisions,
I followed them.
and
I
It
followed them
happens.
all the way.
so I mean, this is really what we're after.
Yeah.
We don't
The
have
cut-throughs.
any sign- We don't have signs as of yet.
Okay,
So,
so that's something we would need to get a move on.
Correct.
so in posting signs, clarity, as being someone that owns trucks, clarity is of utmost importance and visibility. So putting them in a place where before they get to an intersection that maybe they used a road before. So before they get there, it's pointing truck routes, and we got directional arrows that we're addressing it before they get into trouble rather than after.
And what if they're coming from Lowell off of Route 2 and decide to take Morse all the way in and back?
Can't.
No, they can't.
So on the south end of town, there's going to be
Right, so
sign.
you put a
They
sign
hope they
up
don't get a ticket.
that says no trucks on the south end of town. And if they get caught on Morse,
It won't-
hopefully the first time it's a warning.
Right.
That, hey, this is not a truck route. Here's the truck route. Next time,
Yeah, everybody, I mean, truck drivers that are here every day catch on.
Real quick.
yeah.
It'll,
Except local, you would just put a basically, truck route, except for a local, unless you have. a
No
local-
trucks except local deliveries. But if you put that on Morse, what constitutes a local delivery?
If it's off of Walnut Street,
Okay, because
right there.
to me, what constitutes a local delivery is it's local, it's in town. Yeah, I'm delivering local.
I believe you should be coming in off of the truck route then, not coming in from the south.
I don't disagree with you.
So I think
it'll involve some outreach on our part, going into those subdivisions where we have these dump trucks going and letting some of those drivers know.
well, that's our own
And
project. There's nothing
honestly,
we can do
The
about
first time you pull over one truck driver, I think they let the rest of them know, especially if they're coming out of the quarry and Lowell. There's those communications, as well as, I know we were having an issue years ago, or not even years, where trucks were coming up off of 135th. And Tom reached out somehow to Google and let them know our truck route. So there's going to be some outreach involvement on our part to let people know that we're establishing the truck route and enforcing it.
No, they're good things. I want to make sure that Chief Colson is equipped and can equip his people with the right approach to this. So we're taking the right steps.
And being neighborly too.
Yes, and protecting our streets, but still encouraging commerce. Jill, do you have any other parts of this that we haven't covered in our conversation?
I don't believe so. One of them, it does come with a penalty.
Okay.
Based on looking at other ordinances in the area, it is a penalty of an amount not to exceed $2,500.
Okay,
If
so
someone should be fined.
so how is that levied? Is the truck then weighed? What are the circumstances considered in levying a penalty?
This was our first draft, so this would be the discussion on that.
It seems awful.
Because that's a stiff penalty.
Well, think
Up
of.
to,
think
she's
of
got-
Up to.
Up to.
Right, but so that's a lot of leeway. How does that?
That's,
The judge decides that.
What judge?
Lake Superior Court, Division 2,
When they have court here?
yes. There could be a sliding schedule. We
Okay.
have done that in other ordinances.
Would we then have
First,
to,
second, third offense,
would we have to call out state police for portable scales at that point?
possibly.
Okay.
Possibly, unless it's self-evident.
You have to have a certified scales. Way to be.
Well, they can weigh them on portable scales and it's considered certified.
Or as long as the scale is certified, or you could probably.
I've had a couple of those.
take them to Lowell.
And they'd have
Or
to
you
be
can take them along.
calibrated too.
Or down by, I'm not sure about the scale there, but I would say the scale behind the cases there, the scrapyard is certified. scale.
Okay. So I want to make sure we have this conversation because it's a lot more intricate than what people think. I've had axle weight issues where I'm not over gross, but I'm over on axles. And it's all got to be documented and certified. Because I've challenged that too before when it wasn't certified and I won. Yep. So I guess I know both sides of this. All right, we've heard the first reading and hearty discussion on ordinance 1297. Is there a motion to approve the first reading?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the first reading.
Motion by Councilmember Foreman,
Second.
seconded by Councilmember Sharp. Are there questions or discussion further?
Just one more thing. We're getting
Yes, sir.
ready to rebuild Parish on the south end of town. Those folks that live in Lindsway and along Parish, 142nd Place, et cetera, they've been dealing with an awful road for a long time. So the last thing we want to do is get it properly repaired, engineered, and then have it fall apart in 5 years because we're allowing, 60,000-pound trucks to use it to connect Route 2 to Cedar Lake. So that's all.
All right, thanks, John. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Greg Parker,
No.
Randall Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-1. There'll be a second reading at the next council meeting. New business, item 1, South Shore subdivision improvement, change order number 2. Town administrator?
Council, this is change order number 2 for your South Shore subdivision improvements. LGS Plumbing is the contractor. This is a change in the contract times. There's no change in price. It is changing the substantial completion date from July 1st of this year to August 15th, with final completion being changed from September 15th to October 1st. It is our recommendation to approve this change.
Question on this. This contractor that is doing that, why did we have to extend his date? I want that made public.
The change of the substantial completion date was made as part of a delay claim settlement. Some of those delays resulted from NIPSCO being out there and the gas main and service line replacements.
Thank you.
Mr. Austin, what I'm getting at here, is there any justification for this company is now causing another delay, a second one with us, for consideration for future rejection of their bids?
Well, that would require a determination by this council in the consideration of a bid made by that company that it would not be a responsible bidder. And that determination would be made on a factual basis. You would have to make a public record of the facts, conditions, circumstances that, give rise to your determination. So that would be equally as public as, our discussion right now.
All right.
Jill, continue? Or are you done?
That's all I have. It was our recommendation to approve this change order.
Is there a motion by a council based on the recommendation of the town administrator to approve change order number 2?
I make a motion to approve change order number 2.
Motion by Councilmember Foreman,
Second.
second by Councilmember Sharp. Questions or discussion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Greg Parker,
Yes.
Randall Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Item 2 is Cedar Lake Historical Association construction and fee waiver request. Town administrator?
Council, the Historical Association is installing a new children's exhibit and anticipates having that ready for Summerfest. It would necessitate the removal of 2 interior walls between adjacent rooms. They weren't able to identify definitively whether or not those walls were load bearing. I know Julie was in communication with you. No? Was supposed to be.
Did you look at it, Tim? Why not? They didn't tell you? Well, that'd be a good way to find out, because he knows.
Council, it's my recommendation to defer this item.
Well, couldn't we still make a motion to approve it since they want to do it for Summerfest and make it contingent upon load bearing or not?
John, you can make a motion however you
I'd like
want.
to make a motion to approve the construction and fee waiver request by the Seal Lake Historical Association contingent upon our building department approving it.
Motion by Councilmember Foreman with contingencies,
I'll second it.
seconded by Councilmember Parker. Questions or discussion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan,
No.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Greg Parker,
Yes.
Randall Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-1. Item 3 is the Lighthouse Restaurant
Randy,
request.
can I back up just for one?
Go ahead, Ralph.
Jill, can you make sure that Julie gets a telephone call tomorrow, letting her know that she has to get with Tim on all of that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 3 is the Lighthouse Restaurant request. Town Administrator?
Mr. President, I'm going to defer to John Foreman on this item.
Oh,
Mr.
sure.
Foreman.
Absolutely. Shane Keaton, the general manager of the Lighthouse Restaurant, asked, they have that small black gate that's on the town's land right next to where the outdoor restaurant is. And they usually set their one-man band up when they do play acoustic guitar on the patio, and they would like to just let him sit on our property. They may put a couple of 5 foot by 5 foot or 6 foot by 6 foot plastic flat panels on the ground. They will be put there as he sets up. They will then be removed and put against the building or in the building when he leaves. It'll only be in summer, in the summer that they would like to do it. And I told him I would bring it and present it and see if everybody's feelings were okay with it.
Should it not go to the plan commission first?
It's public land. They're not building anything. They're not doing anything other than opening the gate and letting the guy sit there. So
Just using our
didn't
property.
seem, just using the property.
Okay,
So it didn't seem like it needed to be made a mountain out of a molehill.
sounds simple.
Okay.
Julie, you had a question?
Oh, I was just saying, so it's a 6 foot by 6 foot area that they're gonna.
Yeah, he's gonna put a couple panels down just so his feet aren't in the grass in case it's wet or what have you.
We wouldn't have even noticed if you had done it.
No, they could have just done it and he didn't want to do something out of turn.
You
So
did
he
it
asked
the
me
right way.
if I could get permission.
All right, thanks, John. Is there a motion by the council to approve the Lighthouse Restaurant request for use of town property?
I'll
So
make the
moved.
motion I'll second Ralph's motion.
Motion by Councilmember Miller, seconded by Councilmember Foreman. Questions or discussion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Julie Rivera.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Greg Parker,
Yes.
Randall Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Committee reports, Town Administrator?
Council of Public Works and Safety, the update is the police, that your fee amendments were part of this evening's agenda, and you'll have the second reading at your next meeting. I attended a meeting regarding Lake County's hazard mitigation plan update. Every 5 years, they update their mitigation plan, so I have been participating as a representative for the town. This will open us up for future and further FEMA mitigation grants. So there are some grant opportunities by participating in this. Once the plan comes to its final state, it will be brought to you for a resolution to adopt that plan. Parks and Recreation, your summer camp registration is underway. Soccer is coming to an end. Lincoln Plaza project.
Can I back up just a
Yep.
second, Jill? We had a teleconference of our Park and Rec Committee, and one of the things we talked about was Bartlett Wahlberg Park, and people have seen some of that fill put in there this year, which has been great. Just keeps the water from pooling. Have you seeded that with grass yet, Tim? Okay. So we also talked about in our committee call was some improvements that need to be made to that park to just kind of finish it off. It's not about making it gaudy or anything like that. It's people really love to use it. And we agreed on our committee call that a picnic shelter and a station for grilling and a small bathroom would be appropriate for that property. So what I'd like is to get an idea of cost for the council to consider those things. And we would use the park impact fee money since it's a new park. We can use that money, but something sensible that doesn't take away the great view or the accessibility that park has created, but actually enhances it. So if you could put together some numbers for us to consider of what that might cost to do that, Tim, that would be helpful.
You can almost copy the building you built. I would say copy the building that you've built out here just a couple years ago.
Well, that bathroom out here is bigger. I don't know if we need one quite that big. I think a one stall for men, one stall for women with baby changing station. Obviously, it has to be ADA compliant because it's on a public park. I mean, we understand all those things, but something simple, a picnic shelter. I don't know what a standard picnic shelter is, but something where like people gather here under the lion shelter. That's a nice size. It seems to be sufficient for people to have a little gathering. So nothing huge, nothing gaudy, but something that really creates an experience in that park that can't be duplicated anywhere else.
And I believe that we've got four LED lights going on the seawall and 3 on the parking area, and the 4 on the seawall will only be used during the season, and they'll be turned off during the winter months, from what I've.
Yeah, the 4 on the seawall are definitely on a separate timer, so we don't specifically we know that we don't want them on all night. We don't really have the details of actual schedule, but we do have them to pretty much make anybody happy that chooses to do so. We have it.
That'll
We
be
don't want to leave them on all night long because of that. It just does, they don't need to be on all night down by the lakefront. We didn't feel so they will have the ability to do whatever we'd like to do.
Another thing with this estimate that I'd like you to get for us is a recommendation of whether or not you'd be able to contract that in-house, so to speak, or if we would need to go outside. If you think that your crew has the scope and capacity at this point. I know summer months are busy. So I'd like that recommendation as well. Okay, thanks, Tim. Go on, Jill.
Your Lincoln Plaza project work is underway. The Plan Commission has a work session tomorrow. Budget preparations will be underway for 2019 soon. The JMOB met on May 23rd. They approved a flow monitoring service in amount of $57,240 with ADS. Lowell's portion will be $49,005 and Cedar Lake's portion will be $8,235. That was based on percentages and portions that are attributable to Cedar Lake's flow and to Lowell's flow. The next meeting scheduled for August 15th at 1 o'clock in Lowell. East Side Water utility expansion work is continuing. High Grove subdivision improvement project work is continuing. It's anticipated that 129th Avenue will be closed to through traffic on or after June 18th. The contractor will keep us informed as that moves forward, and we'll put some signage out there to let residents know before that occurs. South Shore, you had your change order as part of this evening's agenda. Parish Avenue, 141st to 151st, the project start date's anticipated for June 12th. Your ecosystem restoration, a coordination meeting was held on May 30th. The feasibility study is still currently at the ASACW in Washington, D.C. Feedback from the Chicago Core has been positive. Tomorrow, the Chicago district representatives, including Colonel Ressinger, will be here in Cedar Lake, meeting with myself, and John Foreman has been able to make himself available at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so he can be brought up to date on the project. And that's all I have at the moment.
On Lincoln Plaza, it was pointed out to me that there was no work going out there 2 days in a row with nice weather. And do you know why that happened? And is the completion date, do you have one of them yet?
I checked today with the engineer. They're ahead of schedule. They ran into some issues with something with the soil or something.
The sun rate was bad, and the proof roll had to be determined. They had to come out and decide what to do.
Yep.
There was stuff being done. It just didn't look like something being done.
Okay.
And they're gonna try to wrap that up, pour curbs. They gotta wait about a week or so for the curbs to cure before they can move forward with the asphalt. So I think they're getting close. More importantly, Jill, have you heard from Q-Ball Electronics or Starker County? Are they doing okay getting customers in their back doors, or is it killing their business?
He's closed.
Oh, he closed?
He closed and he's only open by appointment only.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's gotta be rough. There's no doubt about it. So, okay.
They are getting in there, no problem. The mail supplies have people going in and out.
I can vouch for that.
Okay, good.
It's always very busy. I can vouch for that.
Yeah, they're parking, coming down that back road, parking in that little lot.
Okay, good.
I think the Q-Ball guy is remodeling his house at this spot, so he's under. I think the reason he's closed is not.
He had also stated to me that he was considering closing and taking some vacation.
Okay.
Town council reports, any town council?
Yes,
Okay, go ahead, Greg.
I'm going on the record that I no longer support the Midway Gardens project, and I will vote with Bob going forward, not to spend any money on anything with Veritas. That's all I've got.
All right, and I have the announcement that Flag Day will take place at the American Legion on June 14th at 6 p.m. And we've invited both of our United States senators. I've got confirmation from State Senator Rick Niemeyer that he'll be there. I haven't heard from our state rep and our county councilman, Eldon Strong, said he will be there, and Brenda Roberts will be there singing Star Spangled Banner and God Bless America at the end. And I'm happy that the American Legion is partnering with us.
I did have one thing too, Mr. President. Basically, a couple weeks ago, Tom Wilkening had a horrible accident occur. We all have been guilty of not having our roll cages up on our tractors and our seatbelts on. So I asked Public Works to take note of that simple task, and I'm sure you guys are doing it. But if not, let's just make a conscious effort to make sure we have them up. I know it's a pain when we're by trees, but we don't want anything horrible to happen to anyone here. He was a great guy, grew up in Cedar Lake, and a great dad and a nurse. His wife was a nurse, so it was a really horrible tragedy. And hopefully we can spread the word. And
He was a classmate
teach
of
our
yours, right,
neighbors.
John?
He was kindergarten and 12th grade.
Wow.
Great guy.
One of the best guys.
Never
I've
not
ever
had a smile on his face.
And the wake, I got there early and I had to stay in line for about an hour.
Wow.
So
Yeah, unfortunately, those things are a reminder to us
Yeah.
of those things that we take for granted, the little safety devices that we get away with not using. They're there for a reason.
that's all I have.
Thanks, John. Any other town council reports? Town attorney?
3 items, Mr. President. First, water system development charges have been the subject of discussion, staff level and intermittently with you all. If that is an initiative that you want to proceed with in relationship to the east side projects, the water financial well-being items, we have reports from the financial advisors, and we're ready to go if you want us to. Sewer system development charges fairly likewise. It probably needs a bit more report review or review analysis for the justification, but it's been done. Our current financial advisors have done it in the past. That's another item on your plate. And final item is the permit fee amendments that have been talked about off and on at various places, not only here, but Plan Commission, staff, intermittent council members, in dialogue, et cetera. So those 3 items are still open items awaiting your direction if appropriate. If not, we won't.
Is there a motion by the council to amend the agenda to allow for consideration of these 3 items in one vote?
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Parker,
Second.
seconded by Councilmember Sharp. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julia Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Randall Niemeyer?
Yes, we have needed direction to give to the attorney on 3 items relating to water system development charges, sewer system development charges, and building permit fee structures. And this discussion in these items would be considered so the growth is funding the growth. There's a lot of pressure put on our community right now with growth, and we don't want to see that trickle back to the people who have already been paying the bill, and make sure that as we grow, the people who are helping to grow our community are also helping to support it. So that's the goal of what we're talking about here.
Paraphrase what you're saying is that we don't want to put the burden on our residents that are already here in town. We want to pass that on to the new residents coming into the community.
Yeah, as we grow, the growth is paying for itself.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. Is there a motion by the town council to direct the town attorney to begin the necessary processes to analyze and develop those fees and charges as listed?
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Parker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Carnahan. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Randall Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Any other reports, Mr. Austin?
That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Clerk Treasurer?
Business as usual, Mr. President. It's June and we've got a tax advance and I'm waiting for the spring installment to come so that we can proceed and repay temp loans. And yes, as the town administrator did report, the 2019 budget is going to soon approach us.
Yes, it is.
Something to look forward to.
Something to start thinking about
Yes.
as a group.
Yes, think about that.
What's the saying? If you continue to do things you've always done, you'll continue to get what you've always got.
There you go.
And
So it's a
talking
good
about the
time to think
budget,
about
Mr. Carnahan, could you please provide the town administrator with a schedule of when you will and won't be in town so we can schedule work sessions for budget purposes? Thank you. Town administrator,
Council, I already reported. Nothing additional.
any staff reports? Written communication, Christopher Burke Engineering.
Council, I reported the items that are contained in the report.
Item 2 is the American Legion donation request.
Council, the Legion submitted a request for a donation on improvements that they're looking to make to the building. This is just for your information.
So if anybody wants to donate, they can donate to the American Legion, Post 261, 13050 Washington Street, Cedar Lake. Attention Commander Bill Callis for building fundraiser.
I would like that's up to each individual, but I will throw in $25. If each one of us threw in $25, then they could put a sign there from the Cedar Lake Town Council.
I'll join Bob with that.
I'd be willing to do that, Bob.
Good idea.
But we all have to do it, or else Bob isn't going to do it.
No, I'm going to do it whether you guys do it or not.
You want me to sign
Well,
it?
if none of the rest of us
$25.
do it, then Bob owes $175.
That's right.
No.
That's what I wanted to
I'm
get
going to
at.
give
That's what I
25.
thought. That's a pretty good deal for us.
I'll give it to you after the
All that
meeting.
money you
Make it out to the American Legion.
I'll do it.
Building Department report, January through May 2018.
Council, your new home permits for the month of May were 24 with a residential value of $4,511,705 and 66 alteration permits with a value of $686,028, which brings our current year-to-date total to 63 new home permits with a value of $10,364,094 and 170 alteration permits with a value of $2,240,405. There's a few more in Tim's pile over there, so he's been very busy, and so is Michelle and
Well,
Tam.
and in case anybody missed it, in the Times, there was a report that out of the 15 fastest growing communities in the state of Indiana, there were only 3 located in Northwest Indiana. The rest of them were all in the collar of Indianapolis. It was Cedar Lake, St. John, and Winfield were listed in that. So we're definitely a community that is on the move, and hence the need to look at system development charges and those types of things. So we got to keep up with it. There's a lot of demand. It's a great community to live in. There's an excellent housing product being built. So hopefully this continues. Next, we have open public comment. And sir, since you raised your hand earlier, come on up. You've hung in there patiently.
Well, I was supposed to have an entourage of, is this on? I was supposed to have an entourage here of about 181 people. There's nobody over there.
Well, they're here in spirit supporting you.
That's right.
I think so. My name is Ed Bob Bishop. I'm a resident of Cedar Lake, and I'm the commander.
Can you give me your address real quick, Ed?
My address?
Yes, sir.
Ooh, I don't know. Should I?
Well, that's required under our public comment.
12625 Tall Oaks Drive.
Okay, thank you.
I'm here representing the Sons of the American Legion, Squadron 261. What I'm asking for is if there's a possibility that you could amend your amendment or your gun amendment so we can still have our turkey shoots.
How many do you want to
It's
do?
an interesting request. I think that ordinance got passed with almost no thought, based on almost no complaints, and it's created a lot of problems and taken away property rights from people.
Well, the thing is, if it makes any difference, this was our first crack at it. And now that we know what we're doing, this can generate a lot of money. And all the money goes back into the community. We just gave $1,000 to the food bank. We donate money to the Veterans Home in Lafayette. Got a big project for the state going for what they call a child welfare fund. Anybody that needs anything, it's free, but it takes money. And that's where our money goes, and this could generate, we had a couple of bad days and we lost the weekend because of the ordinance. And it could generate anywhere from 4 weekends, 2 in the spring, 2 in the fall, anywhere $4,000 to $5,000 net profit. And we all give it away.
So is there I'm just asking questions here, Ed. I want to learn about this too. Is there a way to reduce the noise of that?
Well, there really isn't that much noise because I'm not 100. I don't have any guns. And where I'm at, when we have maybe 30, 40 feet away, doesn't bother me a bit, and they're shotguns. And they're really not that loud. And we only shoot one gun at a time. Go out to South Haven, they'll put 7 guys out there at one time.
They're making a lot of money with it out there too.
It's crazy, and we're, as far as safety, we're above board for safety. There's, everything.
Is it possible?
Safer.
Is it possible to move anything like that to a shooting range?
We don't have a shooting range.
Well, are there some around here?
Not that I know of.
I'm asking questions.
Do other communities do this, like Crown Point?
Crown Point has one, and they do theirs. It's right off of Main Street, and they're shooting into Little League Field, right next door to the Taco Bell. And of course, they were grandfathered in, from what I understand, but they don't have any problems over there, and we're much safer than they are.
I'd like to ask the council to consider repealing that ordinance and using some common sense with whatever they do going forward, and not just this.
Well, I think before we
Guns
didn't
don't
have,
kill people, people do.
but I think before we didn't have any ordinance, so it was done to try to keep from shotguns on
John,
open
it
land
eliminated
is
the
pretty
property rights of people who have acreage inside the town boundaries with exactly no thought or no response to their rights at all.
Well, we at the time we should have probably said no rifles on 5 acres or 10 acres or more, something more lenient probably. I think that would have been
How is
more
it that this town council can create an ordinance to take someone's property rights away that have large parcels of property? How is it that we have that authority? It's ridiculous.
As far as property, we're 15, 16 acres.
So maybe there's something we can do if the council doesn't want to follow Mr. Parker's suggestion of a repeal to where a waiver request could be granted, that we could do something where you're having an event like that.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to consider repealing the ordinance and working on something that makes sense for everybody.
There's a motion to amend the agenda for consideration of repeal of the ordinance. Do you know that number, Dave, offhand or no? Okay, it's ordinance on gun control within the town limits. There's a motion on the floor by Councilman Parker. One second.
Not to interrupt, but it's 2 weekends in the spring, 2 weekends in the fall, and it's for 3 hours a day. It's 3 hours, from 12 to 3.
I think a lot of the people that have dogs lining up towards the tracks, even though it's buckshot, it's probably not going to make it to the tracks. If people are walking down the tracks.
It doesn't make it to the tracks because we bought these big banners that put out there to stop the shot.
What about if you went towards, with the backdrop towards the concrete pile? Would that be doable?
That's not a problem.
Okay. And also,
that's yeah. But all we want to do is be able to generate that money.
Right.
So there's a motion on the floor by Councilman Parker. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
There's a second by Councilman Carnahan.
And what is the motion again, Greg?
It's to amend the agenda.
To amend the agenda.
So the item under consideration is a repeal of the ordinance that
was passed a few months back.
Yeah.
Repeal and work on a new one that makes sense for all property owners, not an abolition.
Would you consider, rather than repeal, would you say to work on amending?
There's a motion and a second on the floor.
Would you change that? Okay, yeah.
That's fine. You can ask questions. It's
Yeah,
time
that's
for
all.
questions and discussion.
Yeah, John, I'll change it to that.
Okay.
Bob, you concur?
What was
To work on an amendment?
And we'd like the chief's input in it and
All right.
spend more time.
I'll
And
agree.
maybe that amendment could include a waiver of these things for events like this, to where there is something sensible that can be done.
Yeah,
But still-
we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I think that would make more sense than trying to
Repeal it.
repeal it, only because.
Okay.
So
So we have the
so many
motion and
neighborhoods so
second,
close to big
motion and
parcels.
second amended and concurrence. Is there any other questions or discussion?
I just want to mention that there were complaints about this, Greg. I don't know if you.
I understand that there were complaints,
You said
but
that
there are
there
people that
weren't.
own big parcels of property that have been using. It's getting to the point where you can't do anything with your large parcel of property except pay taxes on it. It's nonsense.
I don't know why you're yelling at me.
I think it's dumb. I do. I think it's ridiculous.
He's just passionate about it. He's not yelling.
People complain. But most of the people that have lived here and own those large parcels for years, they don't complain about anything. They don't complain about the people that have moved here. They don't complain about the traffic. They don't complain about the extra cost of everything, but they always get complained about. It's ridiculous.
Any other further questions or discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
No,
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Greg Parker,
Yes.
Randall Niemeyer.
No, motion carries 5-2. So there'll be a consideration of an amendment to the gun control.
but I
Thank
do
you, sir.
appreciate your charitable work and keep up the good work. This is a touchy subject with,
Yeah. And
Residents.
The problem is we've got 100, well, John's a member.
I'm a member.
I mean, we got 151 members and there's only 4 or 5 guys that do anything. I mean, that's the
know.
sad part.
Yeah.
That's with every organization.
Yeah, well, I mean,
we're
yeah.
running into that.
I guess they just want to drink cheap.
What I hope comes out of this,
Sorry, Ed.
and
Whatever.
and I didn't
You
vote
hit it
no
on the
because I'm
nose.
against,
That's what it is,
I didn't vote no because I'm against you guys doing the turkey shoot. I just hope that we take a mandatory approach to this thing that is civil and comes up with a good
That's for everyone.
solution.
Yeah.
I hope it's in the favor of
It's just
good
like our
things.
fish fries.
I was in favor of
Some
good.
come to our fish fries. You know, if it wasn't for the women that I round up, we wouldn't have any fish fries.
That's right.
Because the guys don't
That's
do
tough.
it, you know, but then there's a few that want to do this, you know, the turkey shoot. Like I say, it has a potential to generate thousands of dollars.
I hope we come to the right
Wouldn't it be
compromise.
amazing if we could catch fish out of Cedar Lake and do the fish fry?
I don't think that'll happen. South Chicago fish is where we get ours.
There you go.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Is there any other public comment? Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Public comment is closed. Our next town council public meeting is June 5th, or I'm sorry, June 19th, 2018 at 7 PM. This meeting is adjourned.
Thanks for coming, your senses.
Good to see you.